flow. It'll be the most flow there is. The highest flow. The highest flow I do. So.
Yeah.
You'll never be ready.
It's been 2 or 3, and I'll wait another year.
I was gonna say that last time you tried, you said that.
That was nice. It was a nice experience.
It is. It's actually really fun.
Yeah, it's
But-
not bad. It's
Okay, well we're here. I'm gonna go ahead and start, even though we have a couple people not here yet. If you are out there, you can't hear me, let me know. I'm not gonna use the mic because I don't have my mask on today, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear fine. So yay for yoga. Let's sit comfortably. It's Monday the 7th of June and we're here for a general class. I'm gonna start in my chair, but sit on the floor if you'd rather. Let yourself get comfortable, lengthen up through the top of your head, and really just start to feel your face relaxing, letting go all around your eyes and your mouth. And I mean, sometimes it helps to yawn a little bit or just to open and close your mouth a little bit, literally, just to kind of feel a little bit of ease in your jaw. And then just accept your breaths now as they come in and go out through your nose. And see if you can imagine that the breath is coming equally in and out through both sides of your nose, right? So that you feel very balanced, really, between the sides of your nose. Gently draw the breath into your belly as you inhale, feeling your belly expand on your inhalations. And if you're comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, inhaling into the belly, into your ribs, all the way up into your chest. And on your next exhale, let your head come on forward, chin down towards your chest. Release your hands to wherever's comfortable. So let the back of the neck open up a little bit there. And then just roll your right ear towards your right shoulder to find a little bit of release there through the left side of your neck. And then let the head roll back through center and we'll go to the other side. So just really easily moving through here. And then come on back with the head into center. And we'll rise the head on back up and release our arms on out beside us here now. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let's inhale the arms straight out from our shoulders, palms down here. Now we're going to take a little twist. So you're going to, instead of using your arms, you're going to really try to twist in your spine here. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, twist to your right. Let yourself come around only as far as you can go without your hands doing anything, right? They're staying hands out from your shoulders. And now on your next exhale, lower your arms down, wherever they want to comfortably go. So you're in the twist in the middle of your back. Feel your feet gently in the floor. And then on your next inhale, float the arms back out, hands out from your shoulders. And as we exhale, we're going to come back into center. And inhaling here at center. And on the exhale, again, turning to the left here this time. So again, you go as far as you can without thinking about using your arms at all. And as you exhale, you let the hands float down. It does not matter where they come to, right? Just let it be easy and natural. And then on your next inhale, let the arms come on back out from your shoulders. And on your exhale, move on back into center again. And let's lower our arms on down and then make a big circle. Inhale the arms forward and up overhead and reach back behind you. And then we'll just reverse and let the arms come back first and up over the top right here and all the way down. Good. And now we're going to come into a little seated forward bend. You all on the floor, do what you want. You can stay cross-legged. You can stretch your legs out. Take your time. Let yourself come a little bit forward or a lot depending on how your back feels. So keeping that long spine, waking up the hips a little bit, letting yourself, if you want to go farther, do. Like if you're in your chair and it feels really good to go down with your hands towards the floor, by all means. If that feels like a relief for your back, and you know, the same thing if you're on the floor. Be mindful, let yourself release and breathe. Nice easy breaths. Good, one more breath. And then we're going to slowly move ourselves on back up and bring our feet together. Now, if you're cross-legged on the floor, switch the cross of your legs. Bring your other leg in front. Stretch out in between if you need to. And then let your arms come on down beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let's do that same right ear towards our right shoulder. And then start to let your left hand kind of trail up by your ribs, in front of your shoulder, by your ear. And then stretch long into a nice long side stretch there, feeling the spaces between the ribs. And if you're okay to turn your head a little bit to look down towards the ground, do. And then let yourself turn back to look forward. And we're going to come on back up and lower that arm on down. Left ear is going to come towards the left shoulder. And again, kind of let that right hand kind of trail by your ribs in front of your shoulder, by your ear. You can even touch your ear. And then lengthen and breathe into that right side. You're stretching. Good. One more breath. We're going to rise on back up and lower the arms on down. And now let's do a big circle with both arms coming forward again, up and overhead, reaching back behind us, and then we will reverse and reach back behind ourselves a little bit and up and over the top, and then come on forward. Good. And then shake your hands out just a little bit, move through. If you need to shake out your legs a little bit, move through your feet and your ankles, because we're headed towards our hands and knees. So if you know that you would rather not be on your knees, do not be. Use a chair or use a blanket underneath your knees so there's a little bit of a cushion. Remember too, if your wrists bother you, do what you need to do. Come into forearms is fine, using your fists, being up on blocks if that's helpful. So really be mindful as you come down into finding that neutral spine now. So letting your tailbone reach back. For a second, just let your spine, you've got curves in your back, so you're not trying to make your back flat. You're reaching back through your tailbone and forward and out through the top of the head. But now engage your belly just a little bit, not enough to tuck your tailbone up under you. And there you have a neutral spine. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, draw your tailbone up under you and round up into your cat pose. And then when you inhale, send your tailbone back and up. Let yourself allow the ribs to sink down a little bit in your heart. You can look down or forward in your cow, or you can be more neutral. And then just start to move through at your own speed, right? Whatever feels really good to your back. Stopping in cat or cow if you choose to. Or moving through continuously. Just be mindful. Really let yourself enjoy finding what you can there, moving with your breath. Imagine your tailbone initiating each time too, if you can. Thank you. And then finish off. Come on back to your more neutral spine here. And we're going to come forward with our left foot and let our right foot step back into a lunge. So, if you're using blocks, You have all kinds of heights. You have that highest, you have the middle, you have the lowest. And you also have different ways you can have your hands on the chair or the blocks or the floor. So you can be on your fist or your fingertips, or you can be flat on your hands. And see if you can think about taking more into your legs rather than in your hands and your arms. Feel the feet pressing a little bit away from each other. And we are going to switch legs, so it doesn't matter whether you like to step forward or step backward. Let yourself come to the other side. And enjoy opening up now through the back of that left leg. Finding length in the back body, feeling the feet gently pressing away from each other. Good, we are going to switch again. Warming up the legs into the hips. If possible, see if you can lift your left heel off the floor in your lunge so you feel your quad engage. If you even want to lift your left hand up to your right above your knee, you can. You can not do that if you don't want to. Just enjoy finding a little more strength there. Lowering that left heel back down. And we're going to switch legs again. So again, once you get that right foot forward, you decide here when you lift that heel up how you feel. Once that right heel is up, whether you want to bring your right hand up onto your thigh or not, or your forearm, depending, of course, on how low you are in your lunge. And then we'll bring the heel on back down. We are going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us, hips distance apart and parallel. And see if you can, like whether you have your hands on blocks or the chair, see if you can lift your heels, bend your knees, and be up on your toes are on the ground and the balls of your feet are on the floor. Your knees are bent. And then shift back to your heels being down, lift all your toes up, let yourself feel the toes reaching away from the floor here. And then come back down with the toes, lift the heels again. Knees are bent, just let yourself feel the feet a little bit here. You can put weight into your hands. And then heels come back down, and again, try just lifting your toes. Finding the arches of the feet rising up. Good. Soften your toes on back down to the floor. Come on into your standing forward bend with whatever support you need, right? You need to put your elbows above your knees, do. If it feels better to let your hands support you on the chair or the blocks, do. Or you can release all the way forward as long as it doesn't put too much into your back. So remember, knees can be bent in your forward bend. They can be straighter. Just make sure you're not locking out your knees. And accept those breaths fully and deeply in and out. Feel your head nice and heavy if you can. One more breath. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips as we bend our knees and rise up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Coming into mountain pose. So adjust how you need to. Remember, start with your feet. Really feel like as you get evened out between your feet, you're as parallel as feels comfortable with your feet here. Hips distance apart, and let your hands come to your heart. Stay looking down for a second. And if you have your hands to your heart, you can kind of tell if your feet are centered out, if you kind of change your gaze to looking at your feet. And how far apart they are is up to you. Now bring your focus back to your hands. Look there, down at your hands directly. And then on your next inhale, let your focus rise on forward, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Bringing your gaze on out as though you're looking out towards the horizon. So feet are the rooted part of you, right? There's like roots growing out of your feet into the ground. You're going to kind of grow up out of those rooted feet. Thighs gently lifting upward. Feeling your hips coming over your ankles, shoulders over your hips. And just enjoy feeling the air around you, really. Feeling the space around you. And as we unfold our arms right on down beside us, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees. Come on forward into that standing forward bend again. Let your next inhale help you find a nice flat, long back. Doesn't matter how high up that flat back is, right? But take your time, find that length, and we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge here. So again, using your hands, whatever height you need. Press the feet gently away from each other, and now zip up your low belly. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So you know whether your hands are up higher on the chair or the highest height of the blocks, let yourself lengthen back. If you can walk a little bit, go ahead and bend a knee at a time. Let yourself feel one back of one leg at a time a little bit more. And then finish off, and on your next inhale, come on out towards a plank. And you know, you don't have to go all the way into a full plank. You can do a half with your knees down. You can go down to your forearms if you'd rather. And of course, I know a lot of you like to bend your elbows and do little push-ups. If you'd like to do that, you can. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. So remember, if your hands are on the blocks, you're reaching back through your tailbone. You still have that long spine here. You're still getting into the backs of your legs. Whether your hands are lower or higher. We're going to bring our right foot forward to find lunge. And whatever that means to you, right? Put your left knee down first if you need to. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel as feels good. And then again, you just be mindful how your own back feels. Whatever works. If you like to hold your elbows, do. If you like to support your back so that you are not rounding at all in your back, you can always put your elbows above your knees or use your blocks or your chair. Full breaths. Feel those ribs expanding on your inhales really easily. And then we'll let our hands come to our hips. We're going to rise straight up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms. Bring your hands behind you. Clasp your hands together. And then when you inhale, let the hands and the arms come a little bit off your back. And then when you exhale, let them come back down. Now, depending on your shoulders, right? Don't do it if it hurts. And how far, when you inhale, the arms away they come is up to you. You know, it might be an inch, it might be 2, it might be, you know, that your shoulders won't let you do it at all. You just think about doing it. So let those inhales do what you can to bring the arms off. Exhales, they come back down. Good. And then finish off so the hands are right back down so they're touching again. And then release your arms. Bring your hands to your chest. Spread your fingers nice and wide here. Press your palms and your hands gently together. And then clasp your hands and send your palms out away from your chest, pressing out into the heels of the hands. So coming into the fingers. Inhale as the hands start to rise up. Now how high they go is up to you and your shoulders. Let yourself come to wherever you can be. And then see if you can lean a little bit to the left. Press up into the right heel of that right hand a little bit higher. And then come back up to the top and go over to the right and press up into the left heel of your hand a little bit more. And then come on back to the top, inhaling here. And on the exhale, release your hands, fold forward from the hips into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that nice flat back again. And this time we'll step the left foot back to come into lunge. Press your feet away from each other, draw your shoulders down. Inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Coming into your down dog, easing your way back through both sitting bones equally so you feel equal in the sides of your body. Elbows hug towards each other. And on the next inhale, come on out towards that plank. And again, it is totally up to you what you do for the plank. Go to your forearms if you need to. You know, put your yourself into knees down for a half plank, or come into the elbows bending if you like that. One more breath, and then we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose. And from here, this time the left foot will come forward to find lunge, whatever works for you to get that left foot forward. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. Ease your way into your breath now and really focus on those breaths expanding your rib cage in all directions when you inhale. So you can feel the front ribs, the back ribs, even sideways, the side ribs. So you feel like you're expanding in all directions on your inhales. And then we'll let our hands come back up to our hips, bend our knees. We're going to come on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale our hands right up to the midline. Once they get up there, bend your elbows. Let your hands come either to the top or the back of your head a little bit. And then see if you can just lift your chin up a bit. And you're actually holding your head a little bit with your hands. So elbows rise up. Now make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward. Feel your tailbone reaching down towards between the heels. One more breath here. And then bring your gaze back forward. Stretch the arms back up overhead. Inhale. And on the exhale, open the arms, fold forward again from your hips into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that nice, flat, long back. And we're going to walk into a down dog from here. So you put your hands on the surface you like to use, whatever height. Spread your fingers wide if you can, depending on how your hands are placed. Elbows hug in like you're holding a beach ball. Find your shoulders there. Feel that openness. And let your next inhale bring you towards your plank. Whether you add a back bend here or not is totally up to you. You can come down to the floor. You can do a sphinx or a cobra. You can come through for an up dog or not do that at all. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Take your time, reach back, walk a little bit, wag your tail if you want to. And then we're going to come on out again, out towards that plank. Again, it is totally optional to do anything else from here. So you can come through or not. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose again. And let's bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And we'll step back again into standing forward bend. And again, be mindful of your back. Go to your breath. See if you can find those little spaces between your breaths. So when you inhale, really enjoy feeling that little pause before you exhale. The same thing. At the end of your exhale, just enjoy that little pause before you inhale. Good. And one more nice, full, deep breath. And we'll bend our knees, press into our feet, and come on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And take your time to find your mountain pose. If that means you need to sway around a little bit, do it. If you need to look at your feet or adjust anything so that you feel really easy to stand in mountain, right? Really, like you could stay here for a very long time. Once you are aligned, everything just falls into place, and it's this feeling of strength but quietness at the same time. It's really what makes mountain pose such a powerful pose, that sense of ease at the same time, that sense of strength and balance. And then we'll go ahead and let our arms come on down beside us and shake anything out. If you need to move through your hands, your feet, do it. And if you have a chair, you might want to turn it around. But also have your blocks handy there by the front of your mat, so you have them if you need them. We're going to step our right foot back. And we're coming into Warrior Two. So our left foot forward, right foot back, lining up our heels and letting ourselves get aligned there with that front knee. And then from there, float your arms out just a little bit. Keep them low. Let yourself kind of look down towards your left knee or foot there. And then as you start to float the arms higher, bring yourself into line to look out over the top of that left hand when it comes straight out there. Now feel like you're reaching equally, back through the right fingertips and forward through the left. Feel your feet gently pressing away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. And then lower your right arm down onto your right hand onto your leg. Turn your left palm up and inhale, reach up at first, just straight up. Now you don't have to look up. If it bothers your neck, don't do it. If you can look up towards just the ceiling there, do. And then if you want to slide your right hand a little further down, maybe you can reach a little farther back. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come into side angle, where your left hand or forearm can be on your thigh. It can be on your chair, you know that. And if you want to add that right arm, it can come up into line with the right side of the body. If that feels uncomfortable in your shoulder, put your hand down. But if you have the arm up there, turn the pinky down towards the ground. Let yourself find space between your right shoulder and your right ear. Find length through both sides of your body. Good. And then we're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Press those feet gently away from each other. Get you right back into your core strength there. Energy through the hands. And then we'll bring our hands on down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel so we come into a wide-legged forward bend here. So as you go, you can grab blocks, of course. If you like blocks underneath your hands, you can put your hands to the floor if you'd rather. And then take your time, bend your right knee. See if you can stay with your right knee bent for a breath. And then keep the right knee bent and shift a little more with your shoulders to the right. And that's just a very, very subtle little stretch there. And then come on back through center, straighten both legs, then bend your left knee. Stay there for a second, feel the right inner thigh getting a nice stretch. And now keep your hands where they are, but shift your torso a little more over towards the left. So it changes the pose. It changes the feeling in that pose just a little bit. And then come on back, straighten both legs out a little bit more. Bend both knees now equally. And let your elbows come to rest above your knees if you can. And you can put the tips of your fingers together to touch there if you want, or just if it feels better to release your hands, do. Reach back through your tailbone. Yes, coming into that squat. Nice. And then we're going to release wherever you want to be in this pose. If you need to stack your blocks up and put your forearms up on the blocks so that your back is lengthened out, do that. If you feel fine to let yourself release, to hang your head and bring your hands back more towards between your feet, you'll know which one's for you. You'll know by how your back feels. So let yourself, if you can, release your head and release your neck. And even imagine relaxing your throat and all around your eyes and in your mouth. One more breath. Feel those full deep breaths here into the ribs, expanding in all directions. And take your time when you're ready to come up out of this pose. You know, if you need to bring your feet together more, do it before you rise up. And then when you do come up, take your time to walk around a little bit through your feet and your ankles. You need to circle, right? We are going to go the other side. So if you step your left foot back, and you know, if you need your blocks over for your side angle, use them, but if you need them in front of you, you can keep them there. But bend that right knee and let yourself Get yourself angled with that foot just so the toes face forward, the knees right out over the center of the feet. That back foot about parallel to the back edge of your mat. And then float the hands, again, just a little bit up and look down towards your right knee and your foot. And then you'll know if you're aligned with your knee, right? So let yourself come on into that warrior two with your left foot back, your right foot forward. Bring your gaze down, release your neck there. And then when you're ready, floating the arms on up and starting to look out over the top of your right hand. Now don't forget about your left arm back there. Feel energy back through the left fingertips, forward through the right, and feel the feet gently pressing away from each other. So you're strong up through your legs, and you feel your hips, right? And then from there, lower that left hand, turn the right palm up, and inhale, reaching straight up with that hand, or even a little forward if that's better for you. Now, again, don't bother your neck. Don't let it be uncomfortable. You can look forward more. You can look up if you want. And then see if that left hand can slide down a little more. Maybe you can reach back a little bit farther. One more breath. And on your exhale, come on into your side angle. So again, it can be your right hand. Your forearm can come down to your thigh or your chair. And then adding that top arm up into line. That left arm up is totally optional. Shoulders don't always like to do that. So if your shoulder says no, put your hand back down, right? Take your time. Let yourself enjoy finding length through both sides of the body here. Feel that sense of energy all the way out through the fingertips as you're rooted through that left foot. Good. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we go. And then we'll lower our hands down. We're going to turn our feet again for that parallel, wide-legged forward bend. So take your time. Bring your hands down to the surface you like to use. Actually, once you get there, turn your toes out just a little bit, all right? And bend your knees there, kind of like you're in goddess, but your hands are down, right? Now, you can, if you want, you can lift to put your hands right above your knees or your forearms, depending on how far apart your feet are. Let yourself stay there for a breath or two. And then bring your hands back down to something, whether it's the blocks or the floor, and straighten your left knee out. Let your right knee stay bent. And then come back to center, bend your left knee, straighten the right knee out. Now we're going to shift back again to bending the right knee. Now this is up to you. If you want to lift your left foot off the floor with the heel on the floor, you can, if that feels good. And then come back to center and do the other side, where you come to the heel and you lift the toes up. And then come on back into center. We're going to turn our toes back more parallel, so adjusting your feet here now. And then let's walk over to the right. Either you use your blocks to walk to the right, or you can walk your hands all the way to your foot if you want. Once you get there, bring your right hand up to your right hip. Now, if you want to roll your right shoulder up, you can add that little twist. You don't have to. And then come back down, hand back down to whatever was on, and we're going to walk to the left. Again, you can walk all the way to the foot if you want, or be up on your blocks. And then take your left hand to your hip. Stay there if you choose to, or if you want to roll the shoulder up because that feels really good, do it. Try to stay as fairly level in the hips as you can. And then we'll come on back down with that hand. We're going to come back into center and really set yourself up for comfort here, right? So that where you feel like, obviously you're standing up, you're using your legs, your hips, but you want to try to let go of everything else, right? So you're really trying to let go of your head. You're letting the upper body release. You're finding softness, in other words, in the top of the body. And you're only engaging whatever you need to be standing there. And then just follow those full breaths. Imagine you're resting in those little spaces between your breaths. One more breath. We could stay here all day, but we are going to rise back up. So be mindful, if you need to walk your feet together before you come up, do it. And then walk around a little bit if you need to. Once you come up and around, walk around. You can leave your chair turned this way. We're going to do a warrior one and then a pyramid. If you prefer to have it turned, the seat of the chair towards you, then do. If you like to use the seat of your chair for the pyramid. But we're going to step forward and face the short edge of our mat here. And we're going to step our right foot back and come into warrior one. And see if you can bring your hands forward and clasp them. And send your pointer finger out. Now, kind of get settled in your legs. Make sure you look down. You see that left knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle there. And then bring your gaze on forward. And hug your elbows in a little bit towards each other. So let the elbows be kind of soft. And then start to bring your hands a little higher than your face. And then the elbows are really bent. The hands are just above your head maybe. Now this is up to you. If you want, you can lift the elbows up higher, bring your gaze up a little bit, and stay right here. So you're feeling that sense of the feet equal in the floor. You're feeling the lift as you inhale up the front of the body and a release as you exhale down the back of the body. Now if you want to straighten your arms out, you can. You can keep them forward. You can have the arms back more by your ears, or you can keep your elbows bent. So again, inhaling up the front of the body, exhaling down the back of the body. And then let your hands stay together, but come right back down through the midline to be in front of your chest, coming back to prayer hands there now. Good. And then we're going to straighten the front knee out, unfold our arms here now. And we're going to come on forward for pyramid pose. So feel the belly engaging. Bringing your hands down to whatever surface you want to use. So if you use the chair, you're up higher, obviously. You can use the highest height of your blocks, which is almost as high as having a chair, right? But how you put your hands is up to you. You can go down to flat hands. You can stay up on fingertips or fists. You can hold to the edge of your chair if that's good. But feel your thighs engaging up. Now, if you feel like you're not quite right in how long your stance is, go ahead and change it. Sometimes you feel a little cockeyed and you want to adjust a little bit that back foot. So you can. Think of your thighs engaging up towards your hips, hands down, whether they're on blocks or chair or the floor. Good. Lengthening out through the spine. One more breath. Good. And then we're going to bend the front knee. We're going to step forward with our right foot and get it right. We're going to get our feet right underneath us. You're in a standing forward bend, but your hands are up on blocks or a chair. And then get your feet just a little closer together and bend both your knees and lift your right foot off the floor. Here you are. We're headed to warrior three. So we're going to inhale, stretch that leg back behind us. Now it doesn't have to be parallel to the floor, but it can. And now on your next exhale, bend your knees again and bring both of them side by side. So as you inhale, lengthen into that warrior three. And as you exhale, bend both your knees. You can even round into your back a little bit here. And then one more time, inhaling into that warrior three. And if you want to release your left arm forward, you can. You don't have to. You can keep your hands down. You know that. Find the strength of the pose wherever you can. One more breath. And then bring the hand, if it was up, down, the foot down, and let yourself separate your feet towards the outside edges of your mat. Shift back with your hips. Now, if you want to go down into a lower squat, do. If you want to just release your elbows above your knees, do. Now, you can squat all the way down if that feels good to you. And if you know your hips and your low back don't like that, don't do it. Take your time. Let yourself just feel that release that you can find there. Good. We do have to get back up out of this, however, so we're going to come on up and let your feet come back underneath you again, and we'll bend our knees and rise on up. Let's inhale our arms out and up overhead, and let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Unfold your arms, shake out a little bit. We're going to step left foot back for warrior one. So remember, you're towards the front of your mat, your shoulders are square. As your left foot steps back and you kind of adjust it, if you need to widen your stance a little bit, do it. So if it feels better for you to feel like you're on narrow railroad tracks, let yourself do that. And then send the hands forward, and again, interlace your fingers, send your pointer finger out. Now just for fun, which thumb do you have on top? Look and see. And now undo your hands, put your other thumb on top and clasp them, which is always the weirdest feeling. And send your pointer finger out there. Now try to adjust to that. And then we'll start to rise the hands up a little bit. Bend the elbows here. Hands are up higher than your head a little bit. Now you might just want to lift your elbows up and stay right there. Letting yourself come there. You can straighten the arms, totally optional. Remember, they can be forward. You can still look up a little bit. You can bring the arms back by your ears, but let yourself try to imagine that your shoulders are released. Try to imagine your arms are growing out of your back from your shoulder blades, right? And it's those muscles that wrap around underneath your arms that are actually bringing your arms into alignment here. One more breath. And then release, let your hands come back down through the midline, come back to prayer hands. So now you're not clasping anymore, you're just gently connected. And then we'll unfold our arms. We're going to straighten that front knee out. Even if you need to adjust before you start to head forward, do. But for me, most of the time, it's once I get my hands down that it feels better to adjust that length of the stance. So now both legs are straight, back foot is fully on the floor. Turned out maybe 20, 30 degrees. It doesn't matter whether your feet are 1 foot apart or 3 feet or 4 feet apart. Thighs are engaging upward. Now see if you can lengthen out through your spine here. Find that nice flat back. Engage your belly as your tailbone reaches back a little bit. Good, really opening up the backs of the legs there. One more breath. And then we're going to bend the front knee. We're going to step forward and get our left foot right underneath this end. So now we're standing with our feet a little bit closer together maybe than mountain. And then bend both your knees so that when your left foot lifts up off the floor, it's easy to be there on that right foot. And then as you inhale, stretch back into that long leg back there, toes face down. And now next time you exhale, bend your knees, bring your knees side by side again. And then when you inhale, stretch back again with that leg into warrior three. Lengthen out through the top of your head. One more time. Exhale, draw those knees in side by side. And then when you inhale, lengthen. If you want to release your right arm forward, you can. Coming into that warrior three. Enjoy. Let it feel really good. If you need to keep your hands down, do. Well, maybe pretend it feels really good. One more breath. And then we're going to come on down and let's again separate our feet and come into any kind of squat you want. Remember, you can stay up to be in a squat. You can have your elbows above your knees. Let your hips release that way, or you can go all the way down. Don't do anything that your knees or hips don't feel good doing. Beautiful. One more breath. And then those of you who are right down there might want to just go all the way down to your bellies. Get there however you want, right? So I'm just going to move my chair out of the way. And let's come right on down onto our bellies on the floor. And once you're down there, just release. Like, let yourself make a little pillow with your hands. Rest, bend your knees, rest your forehead on your hands, and if that's not comfortable, find something that is. And once you bend your knees, let your feet go side to side a little bit. Let your lower legs be windshield wiper blades. Good, and then separate your knees like they're going towards the outer edges of your mat. And let your feet come in towards each other so they kind of, the feet meet and they just kind of hold up right there. Now, if it feels good to let the feet stay together and go in towards the soles of the feet together, the feet coming towards the floor a little bit, It's a reclined Baddha Konasana, okay? It doesn't feel good in everybody's hips. So if it doesn't feel good, just keep your feet up. Sometimes widening your knees out more feels better. I don't know. It's really up to every individual. And if it feels like not good, no matter what you do, don't do it, right? So you can, and you're not forcing your feet to the floor. Nobody's there behind you pushing them to the floor or anything. And it changes, and feel your belly's at a different place on the floor. You're not trying to keep your belly down or anything. It's just the weight of the feet back there helping your hips release a little bit more. Good. One more breath. And then bring the feet back up. Bring the knees back under you. Let your legs come long now. And then let's come up into a Sphinx pose with our elbows underneath our shoulders. And spread our fingers nice and wide. Let yourself enjoy coming in. Now, you know, if this bothers your back, lower yourself down by either elbows coming towards your waist or maybe even having your arms come up higher. That is a shoulder thing too. So be mindful. Let it feel okay for your back. Bend your right knee, flex your right foot. Just enjoy that for a second. And then bring that right leg long and do the same thing with the left. Just flex the foot. Really flex the foot. Feel your quad. You know, it's not some big deal, but it's a nice stretch for your quad. And then come on back down. And then from here, let's see about bending both knees and lifting our hips up. We're in a half forearm plank right here. It's pretty easy. So instead of letting the belly come down, you're lifting up and reaching your sitting bones down towards the back of your knees. And feel your belly working. It's pretty good. Pretty good work for the core, whether you're in this half forearm plank or a full one. So if you want to do a full one, do a full one. If you want to put your feet down and lift up your knees, you can come into a full forearm plank. And if you're like, I hate having my hands apart, then go ahead and clasp them together like we do and send your pinky finger out if you're better off doing that and come into where you feel. Sometimes that just makes a difference in people's shoulders too. So you got to play with what feels good for you. If you're like, there's nothing good about what this feels, just think about your belly and your low back, what you're getting right here. Good. And then we'll come on back down, and let's bring our left forearm about parallel to the front edge of our mat. Now you can put your head on it. We're going to bend our right knee, and then see if you can lift your head up off the left arm a little bit. Now, half bow pose is totally whether you want to reach back with your right hand to think of getting hold of your right foot. That is up to you. You can let yourself just easily allow the hand to gently draw the heel towards the buttocks. Let the upper body come down a little bit. Or you can press your foot into your hand. Some of you might even want to finagle your arm back to go up higher into a back bend in this pose. That is totally optional. Do a little bit of each or just take your time, be where you're comfortable to be. And we're going to release to come down. Right forearm now replaces the left one, parallel. Put your head on it. And then bend your left knee, flex the foot, and float your head up. You're already in a back bend. Right here, you're using your back. You don't have to go into some extreme anything in this pose. You can think of reaching back to get your foot if it's accessible back there. And again, you can stay down with your head. You can pull your heel more in towards your buttocks if that feels really like a nice release for your quad. And then if you want to come up with the upper body, you push your foot into your hand. You can draw the arm back. You can go up higher if that feels good. So, you know, there are all these different variations in each of these poses. Then we'll come on back down. We're going to release our arms down alongside our body. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float everything up you can into a little locust pose. So think of reaching your fingertips and your toes back towards the wall behind you. So like if you were trying to slide down in the snow, down a snowy slope on your belly, that's the feeling, right? That you're just, everything just easily reaches back. Nice. And then we're gonna release down, bend your knees as you press back, and come in towards a child's pose. Now your child's pose can be somewhat forward with your bottom up in the air, right? You can release that way. If your knees and hips allow you to, you can keep shifting your hips back. And arms can stay overhead. They can come back alongside your legs. I mean, some of you might want to use your hands as a pillow. Put your head on your hands. You know, especially if you kind of feel like you're almost like not able to breathe, if you have your forehead on the floor. Or the other thing is you can turn your head to one side. You know, so if you're in your child's pose and you want to turn your head because it helps you, right, to release better. You just always want to turn the other way, right, if you're doing the one side, so you even yourself out. Good. One more breath here. We're going to slowly bring our hands by our knees. We're going to come on up, and we're going to come around to sitting. So take your time. Bring yourself on around with your legs in front of you there. Stretch them out a little bit. And guys, I apologize for the humidity. The dehumidifier really helps. And while I was gone, it went off the whole time. So when I came in, it was a difference of like from 50% to 70% humidity in the air here. So it really has helped. It has to stay on. So shake out a little bit. Well, I can feel humidity. Woo. All right, let's all do our right leg long and bring our left foot into the inside. Now the knee is gonna be up, right? You can bring it in up high if you want, but if you pull your leg up like this and you end up sitting like this for a twist, not so good. So maybe you want to keep the foot lower, but you do want to sit up tall. And we're going to take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, right hand is going to hold that left knee, and we're going to come around with our left hand behind us and twist. Now, as you do, think about, actually come back again to center. As we do it again, think about your right rib cage coming around towards this left inner thigh. Okay, so take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, there's length. The inner thigh is right there, and your rib cage, that right rib cage, is coming around towards it. Now you can keep your hand on your knee, or you can put your arm across to the outside of that leg if you want to. Sometimes that's a nice shoulder release, not always. Now feel your sitting bones in the floor. Be aware of that right long leg with the toes facing up. So don't let that leg just be, relaxed. Really feel energy in that right leg too. Feel the heel of the right foot on the floor and draw the heel back towards you. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come back around through center all the way into the other direction. So now as you come, don't let this left leg flop open. So if your left arm is right there, feel the left knee pressing a little bit into that arm if you can. Or whatever part of the leg, right, that's touching there. Lengthen up. Feel the twist in the middle of your back. Good. One more inhale. And let your exhale draw you back into center. And we're going to switch legs. So just bring that other foot in. Again, it can be up higher. It can be down lower. Lengthen up. And now again, remember, before you twist, you're going to think about that left rib cage coming towards that right inner thigh. So inhaling. And on the exhale, focus on the ribs coming around, which actually almost forces you to lift up higher, right? And then you can feel as you get into that twist where you want to put your hand, hand on the knee or releasing to the outside, whatever feels good. Good, and just breathe. Inhaling into the length of the spine, feeling that long leg. Good. One more breath. And now on your next exhale, come on back. Let's stop at center for a breath. Let yourself stay there. And again, inhale into the length of the spine. And as you exhale, turn the other way, twist the other way. So now this right hand comes to the top of the left leg. See if you can feel the right leg pressing into that arm a little bit, so you feel that engagement. And feel your sitting bones on the ground equally and your pelvic floor lifting up a little bit. One more breath. Use your belly to bring you on back around into center. Stretch your legs long and bring your hands behind you. Now you can stay up on fingertips if you want, letting the chest come forward. You can go back onto your hands if that feels fine to you. You can just have your palms on the floor. But imagine really the chest. There's a string on your sternum. It's coming forward on that diagonal line. And it just becomes really easy to feel openness through the front of your body. It doesn't matter where you look. You can look forward, you can look up just a tiny bit. Just let your neck feel comfortable. Good, one more breath. And then let yourself release. And shake out your legs a little bit here now. You can even massage around your knees a bit. We're gonna come down onto our backs on the floor. So when you do, just have your blocks handy in case you want them. And come on down, bring your knees on into your chest and let yourself just bring knees from one side to the other. So when your knees go to the right, let your head turn to the left so you look away. Now if you don't want your knees into your chest to do this, you can do it with your feet on the floor too. You can just let the feet be on the floor, let the knees go to one side and the other, but look away from the direction the knees are going, so that you're rolling through the back of your head on the floor. Hopefully it feels really good. And then finish off back so that everything's at center again. You got your knees back to feet on the floor at center, and your head is now looking at the ceiling. You're looking up towards the ceiling. And bring your arms out, straight out from your shoulders onto the ground, palms up. And then lift your arms up towards the ceiling and let the palms turn to face each other. The hands are directly up over your shoulders. Good. And now bend your elbows and give yourself a hug, one arm on top of the other one. It doesn't matter which one's on top. So you can stay right here, just letting your back release. Now, you know, your low back's off the floor. You've got a natural curve. And when you're laying like this, it might be up more than usual, right? Now, if you want to do an eagle arm wrap, you can go ahead and send the backs of your hands towards each other. Or not, you can stay hugging. You can do your half eagle arms too if you want. If you're comfortable to let the elbows rise up a little bit higher, let your chin sink a little bit down. Release there in between the shoulder blades on the back. And then we're going to unwind our arms. We're just going to switch and bring the other arm on top to a hug. So at first a hug, you know you can hold lower. You can put your hands over your shoulders or below or to your armpits, whichever works. Couple of breaths there. And then again, you can head towards a half eagle or eagle wrap if you choose to. Backs of the hands towards each other. You can do your full wrap. If you're okay to let the elbows come up a little more and your chin to come down a little more, do. Nice. And then we're going to unwind everything. Bring your arms down alongside you onto the floor here now. Turn your palms down towards the ground a second and press into the backs of your arms. Roll your shoulders under, all right? So now when you roll your shoulders under, your spine is off the floor. Press into the backs of your arms and rise gently up. If you feel like, that doesn't feel so good for bridge pose for me, come back down and start with your feet a little different distance from your bottom, right? So once you kind of press and rise up enough to get to that spot where you want to be okay in bridge, feel free to bend your elbows if that's better. If you feel like you want to reach your hands under you and clasp your hands together, you can. Just remember that rolling those shoulders under, right? And staying with your spine is not on the floor. You're not pressing any part of your spine. Your head is in the ground. But because of the curves in your neck, there's nothing in your neck on the floor. And when you roll your shoulders under, the upper back, the spine's not on the floor. Grab a block if you want. Obviously, if you like supported bridge, go for it. You can do lowest height of a block, the middle, the highest. You can relax on the block and stay relaxed. If you prefer to move up and down off of the block instead, you can do that, or you can do that from the floor, obviously. Or if you're on the block and it's very relieving for you to lift a leg up in the air or both legs up in the air, then you can do that too. You can play a little bit, in other words. If you're on your block and a little bit of release happens when you lift the legs up, or of course the other one is keeping your feet on the floor and stretching one leg down long if you like to open the front of your hips. Giving you lots of options here. It's Monday. There's no telling how you've been feeling in the last week, so be mindful. What feels good to you today? You don't have to wait for me about coming down. Anytime you want to come down. If you're still up for a while, do it. It's going to take me a bit here to start to come around and get the lights here at the studio. And then, so do another pose if you need another pose. By all means. If you feel like once you come down, you want to bring your knees in to release. But if you feel like you need another pose, another hip opener, the figure four, or a Baddha-Konasana, or a wide angle there on your back. Or maybe you'd like to do another twist here on the floor. It could be anything at all, as we all know. We're all different, so take your time. I'm going to start to bring stuff. Bolsters or blankets, wave your hand at me if the idea of a little support sounds good. I know a few people, so you start to get around, and then if I miss you, let me know. And you can readjust. Sometimes we think we have to always be the same. Why exactly the same? But if you're not comfortable, let yourself move around a little bit if you need to. Your arms, your legs. If you need to adjust for a little more support. If you need some that I haven't brought you and you need something, let me know. And you all at home, let yourself just find a way to melt down into the ground. Bring your awareness to to that ease of your breath. Letting yourself accept your inhales and your exhales. Whatever helps you to keep coming back to refocus on your breath. Use whatever helps you. Counting the breaths, or thinking a word, or just if the idea of you need to envision yourself somewhere to come back to the breath. Just give yourself the gift of these few minutes. Allowing your body and your mind to find those little quiet places. Trusting that your body knows what to do. How to get benefit from all you just did. As you allow yourself to completely and fully relax. yourself to bring your awareness back to feeling the ground underneath you, supporting you again. Letting your breaths gradually come in and go out more fully and deeply. So you feel that physical movement as you breathe in and out. And as you start to feel like moving, let your fingers, your toes, your hands, your feet, and your extremities just kind of lead the way as you move on up to arms and legs. And if you feel like stretching or bending or letting your head roll from one side to the other. Of course, too, if rolling onto either your right or your left side is good, you can roll to one side and come into a soft fetal position with your knees bent. You can always use your arm as a pillow or your blanket if you have it there, and just give yourself a little bit of time there to adjust. Appreciating the ground a little bit longer, that firmness of the floor underneath you. So that when you do feel ready to rise up, it feels like the next natural thing to do, to start to get your head back up there on top again. And get comfortable in how you're seated, let your eyes be closed if possible. Let yourself get really easy in your hips and the way that you're sitting. Feel the top of your head just floating upward, and enjoy that space in your spine as you come back to watching your breath coming in and going out. Let your next exhale allow your hands to come to meet in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.